The big news that we're currently tracking, Kharge reaches Enforcement Directorate house in the National Herald case. Remember, the ED had said, since there was no principal officer, they could not conclude the raids that were currently on. In fact, Mallikarjun Kharge was the man they were waiting for to lift that seal. And in the latest images that we see here, right outside National Herald office, we see Mallikarjun Kharge walking up the Young Indian office. And it appears this will really help the Enforcement Directorate conclude the raids at the Young Indian office located at the National Herald house. That's live visuals that we're currently tracking of Mallikarjun Kharge right now inside the Young Indian office. He's just entering the Young Indian office and he's going to be appearing before the Enforcement Directorate officials, and ED will likely post that conclude the investigation at that spot, the raid that took place there, and then post which it was sealed off. Now the ED will lift the seal only post Mallikarjun Kharge's intervention. Shreya right now, who's right outside the National Herald office to give us more. Shreya, Mallikarjun Kharge has finally come by. He first said he wasn't called, he had no idea that this was the process. But now he's appeared at the National Herald house. He's walking up. We see live visuals of him walking up to the office. Give us some more details on what's the process going to be now. Will the ED question Mallikarjun Kharge?
Well, Nabila, you know, he is the principal officer. So the reason that he needs to be there is because he has to be questioned. When the raid will happen in the office, he has to be present. That's a protocol, and that's the reason when day before yesterday, when the same office premise was to be actually raided, the fact that Mallikarjun Kharge wasn't present actually, that led to the situation for the Enforcement Directorate to not conduct the raid in the Young India Office Limited's premises despite having a warrant. Now, that's the reason today we see Mallikarjun Kharge going there at the office premise of the Young India Private Limited yesterday, after the Enforcement Directorate temporarily sealed. Today now we will probably see the Enforcement Directorate officials carrying out their protocol, searching the office premise of the Young India Private Limited. Whether or not post that the seal will also be lifted is something to be seen. But so far, what we learnt yesterday was that this was a temporary sealing of the Young India Private Limited office until and unless the complete searching is done. And for that very reason, we see the principal officer Mallikarjun Kharge being present over there today.
You know, does this mean that the ED has really found something at the Young Indian office? Shreya, would you be able to establish if the ED really suspects some hawala transactions to why we understand they're going deep into these hawala entries of some kind of suspicion that they found from that office is what we hear. Now again, give us some clarity. Where does this hawala transactions come from, which the ED is now probing into?
Nabila, this was only impending upon the Young India Private Limited and their office bearers only after the questioning of all of them done. Remember, not just Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge and Pawan Bansal were also questioned in the same matter. Now, what is happening is all the locations of Young India Private Limited are being raided. Now, 12 locations have been raided already, day before yesterday. Today, Young India office is being raided because the Enforcement Directorate, from what we've picked up from our sources, have got some documents, some hawala entries to be specific, which link back to shell companies placed particularly in Mumbai and Kolkata. Now, these shell companies, whether they were used to route the money when Young India Private Limited was acquired, when AJL was acquired by Young India Private Limited, is what the Enforcement Directorate is looking. Because they have got information, they're carrying out further searches, and that's the reason it becomes important for the agency to search the office premise of the Young India Private Limited. What they will be doing today is because Mallikarjun Kharge is already present, and this is a part of the investigation procedure. Questioning has happened, searches were the next thing, and obviously now that they're getting information, it is going to be, we believe, follow-up actions will continue from the Enforcement Directorate so far as the National Herald case's investigation is concerned.
All right. Now with Mallikarjun Kharge, he's just appeared at that office there. What does this mean? Does that mean that the ED will lift the seal of that Young Indian office, or will Mallikarjun Kharge be questioned? He has to answer to some open-ended questions, possibly, which has not found legit answers to. Only then will they end this raid and lift that seal.
Well, Amila, he'll have to assist the Enforcement Directorate in the whereabouts of whatever the Enforcement Directorate asks him while they are present at the Young India Private Limited's office premise when they conduct this raid. If they do not see a foul play, they're satisfied the seal will be lifted. If not, the seal wouldn't be lifted. What it absolutely depends on is what the Enforcement Directorate suggests and gets from the office premise. If they actually get some evidences and feel that they require some subsequent raids, they wouldn't lift the seal because that would lead to tampering of evidences. So these are protocols that may not just end in a one-day time. It might just be a go and back operation. So it entirely depends till the time the agency is satisfied with their operation, with their searches in the premises of the Young India Private Limited office, what they're looking forward from the Principal Officer Mallikarjun Kharge, which happens in almost all investigation, is assistance when the officials of the Enforcement Directorate are present there to conduct the searches.